Thank you so much for tuning in to She's All Over the Place with Kiriaki. That's me.
Welcome to She's All Over the Place, the Women Empowerment Series, exploring divine femininity and all genders. I'm so excited to have you here. I have a really amazing, angelic guest on today. I met her at Art Basel, NFT Basel in December, and she was on an all-women panel. It was pretty prolific, and she's glowing. Brittany's her name, and I just ran up to her afterwards. And just, the words that she was saying, I just felt so connected. And she's just a beacon of light. I asked her to be on the show. She said yes. She's here. Brittany Laughlin. Here's a little bit about Brittany. Brittany Laughlin is the executive director of the STX Foundation, a nonprofit that supports developers and entrepreneurs looking to build web applications on Bitcoin. Super cool. So we're going to be talking about STX Foundation. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin today. Also, she's a professor on blockchain and regulation at Cornell Law in New York City. Her profession right now is the executive director at the STX Foundation. Brittany, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I do think this was like a divine connection. I'm so glad we got to meet in Miami and we get to talk here today.
My pleasure. Yeah, definitely. I agree. And speaking of Miami, we'll just jump right to it. There's Bitcoin Miami coming up and you're obviously going to be there. Do you want to tell us about your role and what you're going to be doing at Bitcoin Miami coming up? And what are the dates exactly?
Yeah, so STX is actually running a conference in conjunction with Bitcoin Miami. So that Tuesday and Wednesday is Bitcoin Unleashed, which is the STX Global Conference. That's in April 4th and 5th. And then it kicks off into Bitcoin 2022, which goes through the weekend. So we would love for people to join us at bitcoinunleashed.org. You can get tickets. They're going fast, but we'd love to see more folks there. It's a great place to connect with folks building on Bitcoin, learn about DeFi, learn about the different ways that you can bring NFTs and other creative projects to life. So if you're involved in crypto or you're just getting started, we'd love to see you in Miami.
Great. And when did you get involved in Bitcoin and, the blockchain?
Yeah. So I actually started as an investor on the VC side, and we first started talking about what we call Bitcoin tech in 2014. So that's when I bought my first Bitcoin. We invested in this little company called Coinbase, and I wanted to try out having a Bitcoin wallet. I, of course, bought a teeny bit, but definitely not enough because Bitcoin at that time was $200, which now, we see it around like 40,000. But yeah, so my journey started a long time ago. I actually was an early investor in Blockstack, which is now part of STX Foundation, but I didn't leap into full-time working in crypto until 3 years ago. And this was actually during a bear market. Prices were down. There was this crazy ICO bubble, but I just felt like the most creative people were entering into the crypto space and wanted to build things. And that seemed way more interesting to me than just getting hyped about token prices and kind of like the get rich quick themes that had kind of emerged in 2017. So I've been with the STX ecosystem now for 3 years, running the foundation, which I started about a year and a half ago. So it's been a really great ride to just see all these new builders enter the space, the rise of NFTs and the creative crypto economy. So I'm really excited that, it still feels very early, but I've seen so much growth just in those 3 short years.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's exciting to hear that it's still early because, I've been 1 year is like my reunion right now of when I released my first NFT, when people, sold his piece, when Blau revolutionized the music industry, and then Grimes sold her auction, her new album on Nifty Gateway 2 weeks later. But I first got involved in 2018. But circling back around, you mentioned some Web3 lingo. So you mentioned bear market, and I've been seeing right now, bear market. They're like, oh yeah, it's going to happen any day. And I saw Ethereum, they're like, oh yeah, Ethereum's back to 3,000. It went from so low to high. So can you explain what bear market is for those who are new to hearing the lingo of the Web3?
Sure. So in crypto, there's a lot of price volatility. You could probably just, even if you look at the charts of Bitcoin, which, like I said, if 7 years ago it was $200 and now it's around $40,000, it is ridden waves up, which people call a bear market. A bull market. People are very bullish on the asset. And then the bear market is when there's the price is going down. So in the end of last year, Bitcoin got to just over, I think, $64,000 US dollars. And now the price is around 41,000 US dollars. So it's quite a dip compared to its high. So that's why people are like, oh, it's a bear market. People are, they're not buying it, or they're not as excited about it. But if you look at Bitcoin relative to a year ago, the price is substantially up. So I think it's one of these where you'll see swings in the price, but there's been a lot of appreciation when you have like a longer time horizon. And, there's a lot of people looking just to make quick money when we're in what we call a bull cycle, because everyone's buying and everyone's making money. I think the real builders come out when we're in a bear market, because, you have to kind of see the price going down and have to, maybe people aren't as excited about it when you put in $100 one day and it's only worth $95 the next day or something like that.
Yeah, very cool. And everything you're saying, I just want to, for the person tuning in, we're just sharing our experiences here. This isn't financial advice whatsoever. We're just caring and sharing our, experiences with one another, and kind of just honoring the moment of, history in the making. Yeah. And then also another lingo you mentioned a bit ago was DeFi. Can you explain DeFi to the person tuning in?
Yeah. So DeFi is just short for decentralized finance. And what it means is, instead of using a traditional system like a bank to have money or take out a loan or do lending, you can use these DeFi protocols to do that. So if you have something like Tether, which is a coin that pegs close to the US dollar, and you wanted to borrow money against it, you could do that. So instead of going and borrowing from a bank, you could do it with Tether and some of these existing networks that are out there. So DeFi has been a very popular category for crypto, because people view crypto as an alternative to US dollars or any kind of fiat money. And so they want to be able to use that money in ways that they use normal money, like credit and debt and different instruments like that.
Very cool. Very cool. Thanks for sharing that. And just a little sidebar, because I'm kind of excited. But so you mentioned in 2014, you bought your first Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So I'm a collector of NFTs, which I'm excited about. But I wanted to, dabble, and I haven't yet, although I, got into the space in 2018. And then my girlfriend, she was, Google was having these conferences and she was having these lanyards, and it was all about Bitcoin. And in the midst of it, there was some cool energy, but I just was so disassociated from it. Anyway, long story short, the Ape Coin came out a few days ago. So I don't know if you did or not, but I'm like, okay. And I put some money into it just to have it sit, because I know, the reputation it has and some of the people behind it. So I thought, hey, and it was my first time ever doing it. Who would have thought I would ever be a person to do that? But I did. I just went for it, and it was fun, and it was really easy. I did it through Coinbase. And so since I had my Coinbase set up, I was able just to dip in and get it. So it's there. So I'm just sharing that because you were talking about your first investment, and we're in 2022, but that was my first investment. So we'll see how it goes. Any thoughts on that? Or
yeah, I think it's really interesting. I definitely am paying attention to what they're doing, because I think what the founders like Yuga Labs, which helped create the assets that are associated with Ape Coin, I think they're pushing the whole industry forward. They're thinking about building this very exclusive membership community based on ownership of NFTs, like their apes or punks. And then the Ape Coin does make it more accessible, because if you can't afford a, multi-million-dollar crypto punk or crypto ape, either of those, then maybe you want to get exposure to this new brand through Ape Coin. So I do think it's really interesting. I know there's a lot of price speculation. So, me personally, I was like, I'm not smart enough to time this market or understand, because there is a lot of volatility. But I do think that as soon as there's more utility for the token, that to me is a really exciting time to get in. Similar to with using Stacks, it's like some people purchase their first Stacks tokens because they want to purchase an NFT. They want to go to Hey Layer, they want to support an artist they know. So, they can use their credit card, but they may also opt to purchase tokens to get into an asset like that. So it's less about token price, and it's more about, the things that you want to do in the network, which is, to me, the most exciting part too.
And then we'll have it in the show notes, but people can follow Stacks on Twitter and the website. What is the website for Stacks, and where people should go to learn and read more about Stacks?
Yeah, so Stacks, it's a trading asset. I think we're like in the top 60 on CoinMarketCap. You can learn all about the token there. If you want to learn more about the network and some of the things that are happening in our ecosystem, you can go to stacks.org. That's the foundation's website where I work. And then we also have stacks.co, which goes through some of the basics and principles so you can understand what's happening. And then, of course, on Twitter, at Stacks, I think we have like over 100,000 followers there. That's a great place to learn about like, what are the cool NFT projects on Stacks? You know, what are the ways I can learn to build on Stacks? What's kind of happening? That Twitter account captures everything happening in the ecosystem. So it's a great one to follow.
Okay, thank you for that. And then, so when you're actually going to get the coin, and I've seen it on the hashtags, it's STX. So when people say STX, if they've seen it, that's Stacks.
You got it.
And so I know we talked brushstrokes, but just to kind of dive in about, again, like, okay, what is Stacks? And then how is Stacks correlated with Bitcoin? So let's take people through the process of what that looks like, the foundation and how Stacks came about.
Yeah, so the thought process is that Bitcoin is like the most secure large network. So it has the most miners. It has currently the highest market cap. There's a lot of value tied in Bitcoin. But right now, there's not a lot you can do because it doesn't have smart contracts functionality in it. If you compare that to something like Ethereum, where they do have smart contracts, people are building all these projects on top. They're minting NFTs. They're creating Ape Coins. These are all done on the Ethereum base layer. Where Bitcoin, since it doesn't have that functionality, is basically Bitcoin. So the idea behind Stacks is, what if we can help support adding more functionality to Bitcoin by adding smart contracts, by creating these tools that developers want, that creatives want? So Stacks chain actually ties to the Bitcoin chain ultimately. So it's its own chain. It has its own token that you use for gas or transactions in the network. But ultimately, all of your transactions on the Stacks chain ultimately settle to the Bitcoin chain. So it's the way that you can create NFTs on the Bitcoin chain is through Stacks. It's the way that you can participate in DeFi, unlocking the value of Bitcoin without actually having to move your Bitcoin out of the Bitcoin chain. So we're really excited about this vision that Bitcoin has a ton of value and it can be unlocked with utility using Stacks.
And then also there's a staking, right? So like if you have Stacks, and it could be this NFTs through the Hiro, Hiro wallet, which is what I did when you introduced me to Hailair. And then I have 3 collections on Hailair right now, another one coming out in a few weeks. And I've onboarded people onto Hailair. And so you do, the wallet, you have a seed phrase. You never give your seed phrase to anyone ever, never screenshot it. And then I have this Hiro wallet, and it connects with Hailair, and it connects with Stacks, which is connected with Bitcoin. So let's say I'm not, spending $46,000 on a Bitcoin. However, I'm buying NFTs on Bitcoin. So it's like I'm actually owning some Bitcoin for one, but then let's talk about the staking as well and how there's earned income that way. I remember seeing that, and there was some like 25,000 prize giveaway 3 weeks ago. Of course, I signed up. I sent it to 15 people because I'm like that. But you could win like prizes and things of that nature. So can you explain that a bit to us?
Sure. So the way it works is because the Stacks chain ties to the Bitcoin chain, miners actually contribute Bitcoin when they're mining the Stacks chain. And this is very technical, but the outcome for the average Stacks holder is you can participate in stacking, which means you lock your Stacks for 2 weeks. You say, okay, I'm gonna put them here. I'm not going to move them. And then you can earn Bitcoin by participating. So that Bitcoin is about 10% annual yield. So we call it like APY, similar that you have on your bank account. Maybe you get like 0.25% interest on your bank account. Well, this is actually Bitcoin yield. So this is a great way to get exposure to Bitcoin, because if you have, 100 or 1,000 or 100,000 Stacks, you'll be earning 10% on those in Bitcoin over the year. So you can go to stacking.club to learn more about those yields. But if you do participate, if you do hold your stacks in something like the Hero wallet, you can participate in stacking there, or even OK Coin, you can participate there and you can see the yields directly in your wallet. So instead of having to buy back Bitcoin, you can actually earn it over time. And we've seen people, one, just be very excited because it is one of the few networks where you actually hold one type of token, the Stacks token, and then you earn a different type of token, which is Bitcoin. So I think it's one of the only that you actually earn Bitcoin. But yeah, I think that just earning is fun, but we're starting to see some really interesting use cases for that, where what if you could own an NFT that you plan to lock in your wallet for a long period of time? You don't plan to sell it. Maybe that NFT can earn Bitcoin as well, because you're participating in the same sort of cycle of stacking. So we're really excited to see people building stuff like that on top.
Yeah, that's really, really exciting. And I haven't collected any stacks, Bitcoins, NFTs yet, but I'm definitely going to, and I'm definitely a holder. So when I get something, I want to cherish it. And yeah, so with the Bitcoin, because I know Hey Lair, they just made it so you could connect your MetaMask wallet with the Ethereum, because there was that division, and some people were saying there's the division of the Bitcoin and the Ethereum. So they just made it possible to be able to connect your MetaMask to be able to see your Bitcoin and the Ethereum in the same wallet. So I think maybe, is it for like a flex or a status kind of thing that people want to show their NFTs and for them to all be together? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it is great because I think Ethereum has a larger network of NFTs. They've just been offered on Ethereum longer. So we've seen an increase in Stacks NFTs, which are built on Bitcoin, but a lot of people may hold NFTs in different crypto networks. I think this year we'll see a lot more excitement on these things called bridges, where you can imagine a little physical bridge between, the Ethereum chain and the Stacks chain, and NFTs can actually move from one to the other. There's this great project called Satoshables, which started on the Ethereum chain. They built a bridge. So if you have one of those NFTs, you can actually move it to the Bitcoin chain and hold it on Bitcoin instead. And it actually changes some of the picture of the visual images. So these little Satoshables have, a Bitcoin background that shows up if you move it to this chain versus keeping it on Ethereum. So I think we'll see more of that this year. There's already 5 bridges being built for the Stacks ecosystem. And I think that that's super interesting as a creator, that you get access to more customers who maybe they only hold Ethereum or maybe they only hold Bitcoin. Now they can kind of make it easy to get either one of those customers without having to choose just a single chain. So I think creators maybe care less about what the chain is, but they do want to make their NFTs unique to different environments, which is super cool.
Definitely. And I think having low gas fees too.
Yes. Yeah. Low gas fees. I have minted NFTs on Ethereum, and sometimes I've wanted to mint an NFT, but the gas price was actually more than the NFT. Whereas in Stacks, the NFT gas prices, I think it usually costs less than $1. Sometimes it's 20 cents you can mint your NFT. I just think that's way more accessible, and it's better for artists that people don't have to spend $300 just burning money in gas fees before they can even buy your art.
Yeah. I found out about this one platform, and they were charging 15% for the commission. In addition, each one, there was a gas fee. And I was like, wait a minute. And it shows on OpenSea. I'm like, I can go to OpenSea and it's free. There's no gas fees. However, when I first minted my NFT, my very first one a year ago, it's still up there. But now when you put something up, it's only there for 6 months. I think with their new migration of the contract, I'm not sure what it is. But now, because I put a couple other things on there, there's no gas fee. The collector pays the gas fee, but it's only up there for 6 months. But when I did it so that's interesting. And then when I minted on Mint Gold Dust, it's up there forever. So it's on OpenSea forever, even when it's, it doesn't come down. There's not a takedown period. So thought that was interesting. On Stacks, NFTs, is there a time limit on different marketplaces, or is it just when you put it up, it stays up and that's just how it is?
Yeah. So if you're minting it on chain, so let's say it costs, you talked about OpenSea. only 6 months, it's probably because in order for it to mint on chain, you would have to pay gas. And so if the artist isn't paying gas, you have to wait for a collector to actually mint it on chain. With stacks, it might be 50 cents. So you might choose to mint it on chain and not wait. And so once it's on chain, it's available forever. Whether it shows up in different marketplaces or not is up to the marketplace to decide, but it will be identifiable on the chain. So that minting and paying gas is like an important part of making sure it's actually on a blockchain, not just like sitting on a server and not there yet. So that's why, we're excited because if you wanted to mint like 1,000 NFTs on stacks, it'd be, maybe $1,000, like sort of at the peak, maybe closer to a few $100s, which is maybe the cost of one Ethereum gas transaction. So I think there's a lot of flexibility there. And then I think, with like Hey Layer, they're a great NFT platform on stacks. There's also STX NFT, Byzantine. There's a couple marketplaces. They all have different features. They're all competing for people to want to use their platform over one or the other. But if it's on chain, it's accessible anywhere. You'll be able to see it in your wallet.
How many do you think there are right now? Because I know with like, there's Sound XYZ, there's Async for music, there's Join Royale, Blau's thing. So, so if you're like known origin or if you're a photographer, so are all of them kind of one, or okay, if you're more of this kind of artist or this kind of NFT, do you prefer different marketplaces?
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of marketplaces because they make a transaction fee every time someone's trading an NFT or minting an NFT if you go through their marketplace. So I think we see a lot of entrepreneurs thinking, hey, this is a great business to be in. I want to be in the middleman between these transactions. So if I were a creative and I was thinking about where to host your NFT or to sell your NFT, I would look at, what's the percentage take rate? Some charge 10%, some charge 20%. And then also like the type of community you're trying to reach. Like I do think those like music specific NFT platforms do a better job of displaying the music than something that like, OpenSea is meant for more visual browsing. And so they may be kind of missing out on some of that extra functionality. So I do think that there's a lot of options. So I guess it kind of depends. But I do know that things like Rarible, they make it really easy. If you have NFTs in your wallet, you can have an account on OpenSea and on Rarible and elsewhere. So you're not limited to where you post them. It's just a matter of what cost you'll pay if you sell them on one platform versus the other.
And Rarible, what does that take? What's that built on?
So right now, I think they support Ethereum, Polygon, and maybe another one. So a bunch of Ethereum-based chains. I do know that they've been thinking about integrating stacks as well. So we could see that integration maybe later this year. Just speculation. We don't have anything in the works with them, but I know that they've considered that in the past.
Well, that's what I was gearing towards, something like that. 'Cause I don't have anything on Rarible yet, but it looks cool. I know a lot of my friends who are on it like it. So yeah, very cool. I know we've been talking about stacks, but what are some possibilities with stacks that we haven't brought up yet?
Yeah, I think that there's, like I said, I think this idea of earning Bitcoin is really interesting. Two of the projects I'm really excited about right now, one of them is called Stacking for Causes. So the idea of, you're holding your stacks, you're earning Bitcoin. What if some of that Bitcoin reward could go towards philanthropic causes you care about? Like you mentioned, you're giving some of your proceeds to efforts in Ukraine, like making it just super easy for people to share in the wealth that they're generating with things that they really care about. So that's something that's in the works through the foundation. We're supporting some of that to make it really easy. There's also some really interesting things happening with cities and crypto. So one of them is Miami Coin. So Miami Coin, they've actually created a wallet for the city of Miami, and people who purchase their token, part of the rewards do go to this wallet. The mayor of Miami has gone through the legislative steps to be able to use that money. There's been, I think, over $30 million raised for the city of Miami so far. They've already put $5 million of that to work to support low-income housing. So extending free housing for more people in Miami. They're investing it in K through 12 public education, improving it there. And they have some plans to actually be able to give Bitcoin payments to all of the residents in Miami. So I think that's super fascinating. Like this idea that like as a collective, we can improve the places where we live by joining together, and even small yields from multiple people can add up to something really big and meaningful for communities.
So Miami Coin is on Bitcoin.
Yep. Yeah. So it's built on stacks, which then ultimately settles on Bitcoin.
Wow. So very cool. Yeah. I remember last year, it was sometime last year, like something happened in San Francisco and the mayor of Miami sent out a tweet and he's like, I'm here to help. Let's go. Like, what can we do? And like a lot of people in San Francisco left and they moved to Miami. I think it was like April last year. And he's like, let's go. I remember I was like, because I was like in it, like researching and stuff. So it's really cool to hear what you just said and the possibilities of it being in multiple states and internationally around the world. You know, every single collection I have, I always gift 20% to paying it forward with something that aligns with the project and the people involved. Because, you know, money's important. And I we get to eat and make a living, and it's fun to collect money and make money. But there's also like an energy and a synergy. And I really find, because I grew up running cross country, so short-term, medium-term, long-term goals, and having like the long-term, the vision. But as a cross country runner, like what I do as an individual affects the team, the whole. So I have my score, but then the whole team. So the psychology of NFTs, the psychology of Web3, like finally it's like I'm meeting real friends here. I feel like I'm like really connected with my purpose now. I'm gonna get vulnerable, but it's like I can really connect with people and like they're just like yes. And it's like the people are doing like what you're saying. And you know, like I have a friend, Ash Cooper Kearns, she brought nonprofits to, you know, to crypto, and she just released some of her stuff. But like, you know, there are people who are bringing healthcare and nonprofit, and you know, they're like, oh yeah, it's an uphill battle, but it's like, it's the only way we know, you know what I mean? But the communities and the beautiful story that you shared, there's multi-dimensional projects that are in the works, that are already going, that are doing amazing things, paying it forward to really help people in a lot of ways. So I know there's a lot of people who just don't understand it yet and get it yet, but for us to be on the forefront and just like talking and sharing, and I mean, you're gorgeous and young. So, you know, we're still very young. So we're going to be able to really see, you know, over the next 5 years, how we're going to be really helping humanity and the planet. So that really, really means a lot to me. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that too. I think that is the wonderful thing, is like we can bring our full selves to this environment where it's like, you know, it's great to build stuff and it feels really fulfilling, but it's also great to share stuff and share our learnings and pull more people in and help them find like, where's your passion? There's a community for you. Let's find where you belong and help you express yourself creatively, you know, use your skill sets however you want. I agree. I think it's been a real gift to be able to be in this industry. And there, of course, are lots of people who are in it for just the money, or there's a lot of people looking to, you know, like feel like a winner and, you know, oh, I got the best NFT and I made all this money. But I think that's like a very small percentage. I think there are a lot of people who are very heart-centered first. So if you're entering the industry, you're new to it, keep looking and find the community that resonates with you and the people that resonate with you. They're out there. They might not be the first ones you meet, but don't take, you know, one conversation with someone in crypto as like the only way that there is. So I'm glad you're bringing this voice to more people about, yeah, you can show up who you are and the things that you care about matter here too.
Yeah. And for the person tuning in, I have a pink sheet. So if you just go to my website, chinakas.com, and put in your email, I have an automation that sends you a pink sheet of divine feminine energy who I admire and respect, that I've learned along the way. Brittany is definitely on that pink sheet. I probably need to update it and organize it a bit better because there's so many different sectors like photography, music, like MP4s, like different formats and stuff. Yeah, very cool. Tell us more about teaching in New York. How long have you been doing that?
Yeah, so I teach in Cornell Law School, and that's been really fascinating because I am not a lawyer by trade, but I did work with Stacks as we went through a regulated process to make it in compliance with what the SEC required for tokens. We're one of two projects who did that in the US. And so going through that process, learned a lot about it and recognized that law students who are studying now are coming out and they're the next lawyers. And they're the ones who are helping build the case law for this whole industry. And if they don't understand sort of the fundamentals, it's easy to dismiss it as something not important, or, you know, only read about scams or some of the, you know, edge case bad things that happen. So I was really honored to be able to be invited to Cornell and talk about what does the technology do? What does it enable? And help lawyers understand that and in their learning so that when they go out in the world and they're interfacing with a crypto deal or someone's worried about the taxes or what about like lawsuits, like all of these different areas of law are going to be impacted by crypto. So it's been a really fun class to teach. I co-teach it with a lawyer friend of mine. She's actually the general counsel at Gitcoin now. So she's finally on the Web3 space. But it's just great. I feel really lucky that I get to see the crypto view from new eyes, especially from the legal aspect.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. That's a great team to have there. Speaking of kind of diving deep here, because I'm not sure how it is. I know like Manifold XYZ, people are, encouraged to have your own smart contract. So how is that with Stacks and Bitcoin, someone creating their own smart contract and putting it on the platforms?
Yeah, so we have, if our smart contracts are written in Clarity, it's a smart contract language. Maybe you've heard of Solidity. This is the one built for Bitcoin and Stacks. Algorand also uses it. And so we have a free Clarity universe. So you can learn Clarity, pick it up. A lot of the smart contracts are open source on GitHub. So you don't have to start from scratch. And then if you have questions, we have a great community to help out. It's free. It's all open source, free school, free technology. So we run them in cohorts right now. Our next cohort, I think, is kicking off in the next month. We do also have the videos. So if you want to go self-paced, you can do it that way. I recommend the cohort because you get like a lot of interaction with other students. But yeah, we at the foundation, we want education to be free. So we make sure that that's available, and we're working with more education partners in Web3 to get Clarity everywhere that we possibly can.
Okay, well, speaking of, I'm just going to add some double down value here because my team, they have me TikToking right now. So I have to do a video day for 5 months. But after what Gary Vee said, you kind of remind me like a Gary Vee type in a little bit, total boss. But he's like, yo, like four times. So I'm gonna be doing a lot more TikTok videos. And I think of me because I would love to join the cohort. I would love to learn as much as I can about building my own smart contracts and with what's happening in the world. And then what I want to do as an educator, because they say once you're a student and you're learning, but when you're a teacher and you teach someone, then you get to learn twice. If I'm taking it in and learning it as we go along, I can be a brand ambassador and an educator and share what I'm learning, and I'll retain it better, and I can share with other people while I'm onboarding them into NFTs and Stacks and Bitcoin and stuff. And I could be a pioneer with my, voice, and that'd be really exciting and kind of gives me more ammunition to be more part of a collective, more purposeful being, and then just really excited to kind of like show up to the mark, to show up for myself and like knowing I have a responsibility and a duty to share it with other people. So please like think of me. I would love to participate in that coming up.
Yeah, I love that. And also just to mention that at Stacks.org, we do have grant for people who want to build stuff or create stuff in the community. So if you're saying, hey, I'm going to create 50 TikTok videos about Clarity Smart Contract, you could put that in a grant application. You could apply for funding. Those grants sort of start at like, $500, $1,000. They go all the way up to 100,000. Those are usually some big projects. But yeah, I think we've approved grants where someone made multiple YouTube videos for the Polish community. And I think it was a few $100 grant. They were going to do it anyway, but this also just helped them on the production value and everything too. Yeah, apply for a grant, stacks.org. The grants are open. You can apply anytime.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to brainstorm different ideas and stuff, but I'm going to do it. So anyone listening, take action. And then when they get the grant, do they get paid in Bitcoin and Stacks? They get paid with crypto?
Yep, you get paid in crypto. So that's a great way to get Stacks. And then you can stack them for Bitcoin, or you could use them in the community. Exactly. They could go buy your NFT with their Stacks.
And then it's energy of, on a psychological level, like the community supporting one to get more into Web3 without feeling like they're dipping out of their own investments and their own struggles because of the FOMO and the the trauma and the generational blah, 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 and all the brainwash from Web 2. So it's a great opportunity to be a community builder and have the grant support. So this is really prolific for anyone who hears this. This is awesome.
Yeah, well, I hope to see some more applications then. That's great because we're really excited. It's up to your imagination. What do you think the community needs? And yeah, make it happen.
1,000%. Oh, and I'm circling back around because I know what I was going to say about Hilaire is, and I don't know if other platforms are like this, but what I really like is I was talking about psychological aspect with the seed phrase and the wallet. And, it can be very confusing for a lot of people, like especially if they have like autism or ADHD or mental health issues or not good with the electronics. And, it's not just for like the generation to get involved, but there are people who have shortages in that area. So I think it's really cool with Hilaire how you can still, get involved and use a credit card and then segue your way into like Web3 instead of like doing that traumatic like leap and jump middle ground. Besides Hilaire, are there other platforms that have that as well with Stacks?
Yeah, I think that there's more that are integrating it. I think like stacksnft.com, that's on their roadmap, as well as Byzantium. So definitely check them out. Like I said, if you follow us at stacks.org, you can check out some of the other places. But I know Hilaire is really leading the way there. I think they're a fantastic team and doing some really, really cool stuff.
Oh, yeah. And they did the accelerator program. They were like the very first ones, or maybe one of the very only ones who did that accelerator program. So they're just definitely like creme de la creme in that 1% of, sophistication. And I'm so grateful that I showed up to Art Basel to Miami and met you, and you're like, oh, you got to meet Ala, and then I had no idea that she was gonna then be on a panel, so it was just meant to be, and I'm here, for you, for Stacks, for Hilaire, and I mean, you're here for me, and that's what it's about. And I wish that for people tuning in too, because, for them to check out Stacks and Hilaire, the platforms and the people. I mean, that's, if you want the people, the sophistication, the class, the community, these are the, good people I feel to get involved with and to be a part of for longevity. And that's how I am. I'm more of like a person who's looking for the long game here.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm really excited.
I know, me too.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah. Any last words or wisdoms, thoughts that you want to get out there, programs, anything, and then ways for people to, get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I'd love to see you guys in Miami first week of April if you're able to join us, bitcoinunleashed.org. If you want to follow along updates on Stacks, on Twitter, StacksORG. You can learn more about our grants program, our free Clarity smart contracts university, and all the other great things that are happening in our ecosystem. So I hope to see you guys there, or you can follow me on Twitter directly, BR_TTANY. My DMs are open, happy to chat, and hopefully help you find the right place where you can express yourself in Web3.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Brittany, for being here on She's All Over the Place. And please subscribe. If you're not subscribing already, share this on social media platforms, leave a comment, let us know what you learned, shoot me an email, and go to the website. You can see all the collections I have on Hilaire because of Brittany. And there's 3 collections up right now. And hey, jump in. Even, if you don't have a crypto wallet yet, you can get it on a debit card or a credit card, and you can pick up your first NFT on Stacks and Bitcoin. That would really, really mean a lot to me. If you take a screenshot and you send it to me, I'll give you a shout out on the podcast. Okay? So you take a screenshot, you send it to me, and I'll make sure Brittany sees it and knows about it as well. All right? We'll tune in next week. Thank you so much for being here. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Kitty at Key, over and out.